Sinesipho, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Weekend Dawn. My first question obviously means, what does this mean to me when the oil simply came to a point where it almost had no value?
Yes, a slight correction. It was oil futures that was the price. That was the WTI. That was the value. So oil still has a value, albeit quite low, but still has a value. That was oil futures that went into negative due to the fact that a contract needed to be executed. Right now, the outlook for the price of oil is not positive simply because there's an oversupply in the market. And where we're looking at is that you're in a situation where unless activity resumes globally, you're in a perpetual cycle of low oil price.
Okay, so what does this mean for our economy? I mean, in the midst of a petrol price decrease not so long ago and another one on the cards, what does it mean for our economy? Can we recover from something like this?
Typically, it's an upside in our economy because, as you know, we don't produce oil, so we're a complete 100% importer. So for us, it means lower oil price going forward, but that is contingent on the rand-dollar exchange behaving, because ultimately that's another factor in the price. However, for us specifically, because we're a 100% importer, it is very, very important for us to maintain the low oil price environment and also to be in that cycle of, because of the fact that it has a direct impact on the cost of goods, i.e. the cost of transportation of goods, which I think is very, very important.
And that was actually going to lead me into my next question. What happens to the oil-producing nations? Will they ever be able to recover from something like this?
Now, for them, it's actually quite on the negative side because they are sellers. Because just because the price is low doesn't mean the cost actually decreases to produce oil decreases. So 2 weeks ago, the OPEC countries, oil-producing countries, the cartel, they decided to cut production so that they would, number one, sort of be in a position where supply gradually decreases in the market. So when supply decreases in the market, eventually demand will pick in post-corona. That's how they look at it. And that's just how it's going to be for them. They have to weigh it out, unfortunately.
And then when it comes to the oil war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, did that play any role in the crashing of the oil price recently?
Remember, the price that crashed was crude oil, and they are Brent crude oil, Brent price. But it did have an impact. It was more driven by a corona, actually. So what they did was, and Saudi decided to flood the market. But that was from an impact perspective. That was not as challenging, which resulted in an initial decrease in the price. But the overall demand, the oversupply in the market is fundamentally what is at risk here. You've got a situation where the storage spaces in the U.S. specifically, as well as in Asian markets, where there is no space to put the oil. They're full. There's no space because you can think of it in your own life. If you weren't working, some of us haven't sold that petrol since in March. So it's fundamentally, it's literally to put it in that, understand in that context, in that there's an oversupply. The oversupply is in such a way that there's no space to put anything.
I see. Now, let's look at the global economy on the whole. What other aspects are out there, or how will the global economy be able to thrive once more post COVID-19?
So globally, almost all leading nations, the Japanese, South Koreans, the Chinese, the Americans, as well as the large EU countries such as Germany, France, have all taken the line to provide, the government has acted sort of to provide stimulus in the market, because they fundamentally understand that the COVID-19 is going to be with us for a while, and there's going to be a massive decline. So you've got to stimulate the country. So there's gone into stimulus packages to assist specifically small business to survive this period of zero to nothing, less than nothing trading. So they've taken that from a global context. It's caused quite a bit of downturn in the economy. You can see it reflected in decline in your general stock market, specifically the US, the S&P, as well as the UK market, as well as the Asian markets, and that we're now in a downward, we're in an effective global recession, and that's because of lack of production. We're at the stage where we don't know how long the impact of how long COVID-19 pandemic is going to be with us. We just talked about the fact that the sports league, Bundesliga, was cancelled. So we don't know how long we're going to be at this for. So it's very, very difficult to predict in terms of when recovery can be expected. Right now, we're in an effective recession in the economy, and we just have to ride it out. How long it will last, and will the stimulus packages by each of stimulus/relief packaged by each of the leading governments of the world, the actions of the IMF in the African continent, we don't know if that's going to be sufficient and how long it will be required for, simply because COVID has, I think, changed everybody's expectation of what the year will bring from an economic activity perspective. So it was challenging before. It's going to be even more challenging now.
Now, let's bring it back home when we talk about these stimulus packages. 500 billion rand stimulus package for South Africa. I remember hearing rumors about the president needing R1 trillion. Is the 500 billion rand enough?
Slight word, it's a relief package for us. It's a relief package. So it's sized at about 10% of our GDP. Depending how long everything takes to pick back up, and it's made of a combination of interventions geared at assisting both small business and the largely poor and disenfranchised who have been left without anything to eat as a result of zero to no trading. So that's what we have, and whether or not it will be enough, we will find out if it will be enough. I think ideally we all wanted 1 trillion, but we've got to work with where we are. Minister Sinesipho Maninjwa yesterday did give some credence to some value uptick to what President Cyril Ramaphosa announced earlier on in the week, but he did say he's going to table a new budget, which should give us a bit more clarity and color in terms of how exactly is the allocation of funding going to work, and what exactly, but specific programs, which budget items which were presented in February are going to be misallocated towards the COVID relief. And yeah, so we're still in very much the beginning stages. I think our goal, based on what has been, our goal is to survive, because for me, no amount of economic activity or wellness is okay with the loss of life. There's just no comparison, and I'm glad our president has taken that stance, that people are not worth human life. Economics are not worth human life. But on the same side, we are in a position where we need to, we're not sure where exactly we're going to head up to. It's very, very difficult to give an estimate, but our goal should be survival. Based on initial estimates, we are looking at a 10% decline in GDP based where we are now. That 10% can quickly become 20%, but we don't know. It depends on the rate of infection and what level of economic activity. When President Ramaphosa on Thursday announced the level of economic activity, it depends on which level we are and how quickly does business respond, because I think we've all heard of businesses announcing that they're looking at retrenchments, management of large JSE-listed corps saying that there's going to be salary cuts and cost saving, not declaring dividends. So all those factors are you are literally taking a wait-and-see approach.
Wow, Sinesipho Maninjwa, thank you so much for your time.